Barbara and Brian. Schindler's List. What a wonderful world. Music, society, voices. So I think there's more people joining us here. Thank you very much for that. Johan's impact on kids in Malawi, Ruth Nambuzi.
Condolence message from the head teacher and all members of staff from Blantyre Girls Primary School. Indeed, my sincere condolences should go to each one of you who is here. And the special condolences should go to Karen and Chris, not forgetting Mandinda. You have taken a good role on this. Indeed, my condolences again should go to the head teacher of Phoenix High School, the dame for Blantyre Urban, and we have the dame for the Blantyre Urban former, Ruth Samati, who is here, the head teachers of Ndirandehero Secondary School, Ndirandehero A, Mpemba School, Blantyre Secondary School, Blantyre Teachers College, and indeed the coordinating pair of Ndirande Zone, students and learners from different secondary and primary schools in Ndirande Zone, where Mr. Yo, Professor Mlomba was moving up and down. All invited colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed the learners outside. I stand here this afternoon with a somber mood, but at the same time, a happy person as a believer in Christ. I know that everyone here has so many questions to ask as why Johan's brother Yo, Professor Mulomba, has opted to go this way. We all are not judges, but God is the only judge. Had we known before, we could have saved the life of our dear friend, colleague. But who are we in the eyes of God? Let us remain strong and have firm faith as we face challenges in life. Sometimes we face challenges, go through difficulties, as God is trying to preparing us to be steadfast in our beliefs as Christians. Yes, indeed, life is too short, but we could have loved to be with our brother Yo and spent more time sharing ideas, jokes, singing, and trying to forget our worries. We cried for you, Johannes, not that you are dead, but the gap which you have left, the task ahead of us, will haunt us in the remaining days of our lives, especially to our dear students. The brief background of our brother Yo. We called him Brother Yo and Professor Mlomba. He actually joined Blantyre Girls Primary School as a volunteer on 23rd September 2013. He taught our learners French, music, and volleyball. He also volunteered his services to Stella Maris Secondary School, Blantyre Teachers Training College, Blantyre Secondary School, Ndirande Hill Secondary School, Ndirande Royal Primary School, Comboni Center in Lonso, and in Pemba. Johan's achievements. As for Blantyre Girls, Brother Yo has done the following. He first lobbied for 10 box guitars from Nampa Park for these learners outside. He has been teaching French, music, and a sports master trainer for volleyball. He even maintained chalkboards for 2 blocks, 8 classrooms. He always escorted learners at the Museum of Malawi whenever their school received an invitation. He invested and valued time and always taught us about punctuality. He was always punctual, this man. In conclusion, I thank every one of you for attending to this celebration of our dear friend. Let me also thank Mandinda for your effort and resources you have used to bury our friend. May the good Lord reward you and give you sound health. In Jesus Christ I say, Christo.
I've been asked by Ruthie Marcus to read out a letter that she sent yesterday. This is a letter to Johan. Johan, I was so very touched to get your letter last week. It was a wonderful letter, funny, touching, and searingly honest. I don't get many letters like that because I'm not sure that many people have that kind of honesty. And yes, it would have been fantastic to have had the opportunity to work together. You had so much talent that would have been invaluable to us in the village and with the clinic. You had so very much to give us, and you probably have no idea of how much I was looking forward to seeing you and putting something together. I can't believe that I won't see you again when I get to Malawi next week. I'm sure that everyone here feels the same, and I think to myself, did I miss something in your letter? Should I have called you? As the mother of a child who must have felt as you did, I am once again weighed down with sorrow and the inevitable what-ifs. Johan, like scores of friends, I shall miss you. I shall miss what could have been an amazing time working with you. I hope you knew how loved you were by so many. I hope you knew how fantastically talented you were. And I hope you knew just how much pleasure you gave to your friends and to your students. You were a rare and special man. And I can but hope that finally you have found the peace that eluded you in life. Like you, I'm not a religious person, so I'm not too sure if you can hear us, but I hope you can. With my love and ineffable sadness, I am so sorry not to be here today. But I am there with you all in my heart and in spirit. Ruthie. Yo, we miss you. I'm going to miss coming round and having your homemade soup and the coffee that you told me was special every time you made it. We don't know why, we won't understand, but we're not going to make assumptions or try and come to conclusions. We're not going to pass blame. We're going to remember everything you did. The fun we had playing together. Last week we were planning what we were going to do in the concert, and I was going to play Time Is Tight, and so I said to Joe, "Yo, can you play this bass?" And we hummed it out, and he said, "Yeah." I picked up his guitar, and off we went. He said, "I'll borrow a bass guitar for that." So yes, we'll miss Yo. And I've asked Sally to turn the pages for me on this next piece that he liked, River Flows in You, because I know he'll be pretty cross with me if I make too many mistakes. Thank you.
eulogy. Pius Seda.
I stand here as one of the flames of Yo. We knew each other like 2 years ago, but it's so sad it's gone. I really wished we could have spent much time, but anyway, it happens. Okay. Here's a poem. Gone while needed to Johan. Erosion of a veteran strong leech, falling apart of a concrete bleach, falling down of a strongest tower in an hour of darkness and silence, not possible to replace, no preventing the occurrence. A song deleted, not possible to be prayed, life terminated, leaving us with falling tears as water from cooler falls. We just recall those hours and moments we spent. We shall never forget you, a friend to all, an inspirational figure who knew what compassion is. Doing it with passion, so sad you have passed on. While we still need you, charitable deeds. While we still need your love, while we still need you, our hearts are just empty as a vacuum. Only left with those memories we can never forget. A man on the motorbike, a music instrument on his back. Always against time. Never call me Mzungu, call me Muntu. You insisted. Never call me Johan, but call me Mr. Yo. Keep it simple and smart, you said. What a clever man I have seen on earth. A kind man playing with kids, with balls in his hands, doing some tasks to save others, born differently to make a difference. I wish spilled milk would have been brought back to the cup. But for all goes with history, we are here to say we shall still remember you, friend. You have gone while we still need you. Zimu wako usemutendele, peace and love. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Next up, Sapadziko, Janet Chitalo.
Hi, my name's Janet. Sorry, I'm a bit shaky and very emotional at the moment, so please just bear with me. I met Mr. Yo in 2013 when I went for lunch at a mutual friend's place, and he sort of convinced me I should try and learn how to sing. And sort of he believed in me more than I ever did, and I felt like giving up a lot of times, and the only reason I went on really was because he thought I could do it. So the song I'm going to sing is called Zapatiko. It's a typical Malawian song. What it basically says is worldly things are all vain. While another generation is being born, another is being taken away from us through death. And well, whatever we come across, let's just kneel down and ask our Creator to make things right. He gives, He takes. Only He has the power to do that. So just bear with me. Yeah. Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe bado wina unubadwa wina ukupita Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Kwada pansi upempele somwe uso wacha urasamana hai amabata amalanta Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Kwada pansi upempele somwe uso wacha urasamana hai amabata amalanta lanta Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Wanani malemba akwanilitsidwa dziko lapansi anzanga ninkondo zomwe Onani malemba akwanilitsidwa dziko lapansi anzanga ninkondo zomwe bado wina unubadwa wina ukupita Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Kwada pansi upempele somwe uso wacha urasamana hai amabata amalanta Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Kwada pansi upempele somwe uso wacha urasamana hai amabata amalanta lanta Zabatiko nzanga zashabe shabe Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
I'm a little tearful right now, but I think I can manage. This is Sean. He's a student at St. Andrews High School, and Ian's been helping him, teaching him for the last few years. He's a new student on guitar, and Johan kept going on how much Sean's improved again and again in such a short amount of time. We recently had a trio where we recorded in the studio. This is for Sean's coursework in Year 11. It's a beautiful Miles Davis piece, Blue and Green. We'll play it very short. It's a nice, slow ballad. Johan likes them as slow as possible. We'll see how this goes.
friendship with you. Oh,
First, I want to make an apology because when I mentioned music school, Barbara and Brian, I forgot the Malawian talents like Mr. Mijiga, Mr. Chachamba. Please, we need to join hands. Mr. Makala, you're also part of it. For 16 years, I have supplied children to this school. And the last year, I asked for a discount and they refused. And I'm still upset about that. One of my children was Mayam, who also has been teaching here for 2 years and was just living at the corner there, opposite Johan, and they became very close friends with her daughters. And she sent me a song, which she had heard as a child of 5 years when we were studying in Holland. We lived in an apartment building, and our neighbor was a famous Dutch composer and musician called Jules de Korte. He was blind. And he was playing with our children quite often. And she sent us one song which he had been composing. It's in Dutch. But it is so beautiful, I have to explain you briefly what it means. I'll try to do that. It says, I would like to know, why are the mountains so high? Maybe to gather the snow, or to protect the valley, or maybe to be a safe support for the heaven. That's why the mountains are that high. I would like to know, why are the seas so deep? Maybe for the happiness of the fishes, who can't do without that water. Or to more glory to God, who created the world. That is why the seas are so deep. I would like to know, why are the clouds so fast? Maybe it's a lesson to the people who learn how fictive their border is. Or maybe it is only because it is an angel's game. That is why the clouds are so fast. And this is the last couplet, which is very important. I would like to know, why are the people so tired? Maybe it's because they're hunting and asking for questions. There are 10,000 questions and asking for more and more. Maybe because they are already that long on their way to peace. That is why the people are so tired. Mayan is singing this.
bringing music to Malawi? Sally.
I've been in Malawi for nearly 30 years, and there are so many positive things I could tell you. Musically, and also I'm a bit of a drama queen, as my family will tell you. I have to say that sometimes making music in Malawi has been quite difficult. Johan and I met as soon as he found the Music Society, and we clicked early on as we shared a love of music in general and a love of special performances in particular. I've listened for hours to his tales of musical exploits, heard many examples of his concerts and recordings. We could talk about music on an intellectual level, or about musical teaching experiences, or we could just listen and enjoy really good music. He's always pushed me to try things out, although we did have to agree that singing jazz was not my forte. But that really wasn't the important point in the end, as he also taught me a very, very salutary lesson. He taught me to look beyond a polished, perfect performance, and to embrace any small musical opportunity and make it special. His passion for music knew no bounds. Whether it was teaching a group of school children, keeping jazz alive, providing the Music Society with new ideas, or just passing on his musical knowledge in an accessible way to an individual, Johan was the man. Any idea would instantly translate into a concert to showcase a style or a group. His chamber concerts at St. Andrew's High School proved that there's a big arena for alternative musical moments. If you had just a tiny idea that could be a slightly bigger thought, that might be a performance, but you really didn't think it was worth it, Johan would take it, make it, and turn it into something that had wings and could fly. Since January, he's been on the WhatsApp trying to arrange at least 3 groups that I'm a part of. He just never stopped. And that's the tragedy. Malawi has lost someone who crossed cultural lines and has made music in this country accessible to everyone, no matter what. Neither was he a saint. He was opinionated, stubborn, and in his mind pretty much right a lot of the time. But none of us can fault him on that desire to share musical experiences. I am now going to attempt to play, an etude by Chopin called Tristesse, which means sadness. But I don't want to focus on sadness. I want to turn it into a smile. Brian and I have talked about this piece for some time, but I only actually tried playing it on Wednesday. Johan would know that this is not my style, performing without lots of practice, but I can also hear him telling me to get on with it. Allez was his word. That occurred in a multitude of situations. Come on, Sally, allez, you can do this. He was intrigued by language, and we often discussed expressions in different cultures. In English, I would say that I'm about to fly by the seat of my pants. This expression means that the performance you are about to hear is decidedly under-rehearsed by me. I might fly or I might crash. I think that Johan would find this amusing. So I am going to close by thanking you all for coming and by raising a metaphorical glass to Mr. Yo. Cheers.
I'm going to have a harder time than I thought I would doing this. I'm not alone. I know a lot of people are going to miss Mr. Yo. Sally, that was wonderful. Thank you very much. I spent 2 hours in my music room this morning when I had a chance between lessons and between appraisals and things. And I wrote some lists, and I didn't get much farther than that. So I thought I would read a few lists about Mr. Yo. The first thing that I wanted to say was that I was very thankful, as I never thought I'd meet another jazz musician in Malawi and Blantyre. I had given up music and jazz in other places that I lived in, and I became a bird and wildlife photographer, and I was happy on my own. But things have changed in my life dramatically, and I have to say, a large part was because of Johan. All right, here's some of my lists. Things in common. Technical gadgets. A lot of these things I would not have thought of Mr. Yo because he is a very Renaissance man. He doesn't need a lot of things. He has a very small pension from Belgium that he was living on, and he's happy living on his own like a hermit. Quiet, he doesn't need a lot of stuff. But when I was using my speaker and we're having concerts, he would say, "Oh, Dave, we can do better than this," and he would buy a bigger, fancier set, a nice Bose set, which Karen happily brought over. Yeah, unbelievable, these giant things with the luggage that you did for us. And that's not the only thing. He saw my fancy computer and his was slow and not loading up, and so he had to buy the newest iMac possible, which we researched and had brought over here. And the biggest one was we always share music when we're playing concerts and duets. If you saw us at Shea Mackey, we're looking at the same page. That would sometimes bother me because I would want it in front, he would want to see, and then I'd need different notes. But he would rather share than have separate ones. He couldn't see because of the lighting. So I one day said, "Hey, I've got a clever idea. I'm going to put this on my iPad, and then you have backlighting. It's not bright in your eyes." He loved it. He bought the biggest iPad possible, one of the new Pros. That's, monstrous. And yeah, so he always one-upped me with all the technical things that we've had. We both like jazz. 1950s swing, but even stranger, we both like some of the old 1930s stuff that very few people know. There's a phone ringing. It's going, okay. We enjoyed playing together. I had some of the best music of my life playing with Mr. Yo. And it's just with two people. Normally it's in a group, larger things, but it worked with just him and Mr. Yo. One of the coolest things was that we would listen to each other. And I can show you some of the things that I mean by that. Can I take a little bit of time? Because Simple songs, like if we're playing a song that goes C minor, where's the volume? I want a little bit louder. We have a C minor chord. A couple bars later, we're going to go to an F minor chord. It's called Blue Bossa, this song. Once in a while, I would get bored. I would play C minor, and then I would play a C7 chord going to an F minor. I wouldn't have to tell Mr. Yo this. He would hear it, and the very next time we played around, that C7 was in there. Not a lot of people can do that, and that was quite special. Another fun thing that we could do is we can take people, doesn't matter who, anybody playing a guitar, a singer or something, and if we were playing with them, if they got off for some reason, faster, slower, they come in the wrong part, in 2 beats, before I think anybody else noticed, we would be right together in the same place. So he was very supportive. It was a real special thing. And the last thing was the endings. When we're playing songs and we have an ending and we haven't discussed it, we haven't rehearsed it, maybe I would play. By the end, he would have exactly the right ending. It sounded like we rehearsed it. It was a real pleasure. I'm going to miss that. I've got another list about things that made Johan happy. His hometown in Ghent, in Brussels. He would always be showing me pictures, talking about the streets and things where he lived. He had lots of stories. One story I just thought of. He's a very shy and sensitive man, or was. And he once had a girlfriend who lived in Ghent, and they separated, and he was devastated. He lived in a small place 20 minutes away, and he could not go visit Ghent again for 2 years, just in case he might see her. He's that kind of guy. He takes things hard. Yes. Another thing that made him happy was playing jazz guitar. And unlike a lot of the people here, Mr. Johan was scared of me. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Mr. Yo's going to notice that I play a wrong note." Well, he was always saying, "Oh, Dave, I don't want to play a wrong note for you." He was like that a lot. And It's because he was such a fantastic bass player. He was world class, among the best I've ever played with, even missing one of his fingers. But on guitar, he was more of a neophyte. The jazz part, at least, was new to him, and it was an adventure. And he much preferred the adventure than doing something he's done again and again for 20 or 30 years. Another part of that, things that made him happy, was wine, cigarettes. He was a very punctual person, but not at break time. When it's time to start playing again, oh, sure, Dave, sure. Just after one cigarette, then he pour himself a glass of wine, take 30 minutes to enjoy it, and then we're on again. Ice cream was his weakness. If you ever asked him for a favor, the payment would be an ice cream. I think I actually owe him a few at the moment still. Helping others, creating things, fixing things. The ceiling of my car leaks. He sealed it up with some weird gunk. There's a whole bunch of paintings and photos up in my house that have been drilled in by Mr. Yo. He built his own thing. He's a very helpful guy. The things he builds is amazing. He loved taking off his shirt when he worked. You might have seen one of the photos up there that you just have to get used to it. You have to find this old Belgian man in your house with no shirt on. It's okay. What else? Oh, he loved playing songs very slowly. It's one of the marks of a great musician, and he could handle it, and I really had to go 1E and a 2E and a, because the pulse is so slow that I had such a hard time, and that really helped me become a better musician. Things he did not like, suits and ties. He hated the stuff, and so do I. We had that in common, actually. I would not be wearing black right now for this. I should have sandals on and relaxed pants. I have to go play a performance at the school. We have a musical at St. Andrews tonight. That's the only reason why I'm wearing black right now. I really wished he was there to hear it. I thought he would like it. Anyways. He didn't like slow drivers. He would shout at them and call them muka. If you're from Belgium, maybe you can understand my Aussprache, my accent. Muka is grandmother. Come on, grandmother, get out of the way. But he would be saying this in Belgium all the time. And he really hated his shortened middle finger, the one here that got cut off in that accident, which for a while took away his music. He was so depressed about it. And it was Sally Walker that you just saw that he confided in me, got him slowly back into music, saying, try this, you can handle this. And I think Sally's a big part of the reason why Johan was also so largely involved in music around here. I have a funny picture of him, which I didn't think to bring, but he was tired and exasperated at a photo shoot, or just shaking his head in, that kind of feeling. And he looks like this. Where he's totally missing his finger, and you totally notice it. And sometimes for a joke, I don't mean to be profane, but he would stick his middle finger up at people, and it looks ridiculous. It's the funniest thing I've seen. So, yeah, and that shortened finger also is why the guitar was such an adventure, because you need to play all those notes. And there's so many times when he's trying to play a song like Bye Bye Blackbird that should sound like this, and the chord instead was this, and it makes a huge... I need two hands to really show you. But instead of playing a chord like, please don't fall, like this... I got used to calling it the Johan chord. Okay. I don't know if there's too much more that I have to go into. We flew to Maputo. He lost his amp because the people in the airport said, sure, you can bring it all the way to Maputo. And in South Africa said, no way, this is dangerous goods. It has a huge magnet. It's not going any further. And he couldn't get it back for 3 months. It was a real hassle. Volunteering to teach French and all the other things he did at the primary schools, it really had an effect on the whole community. There's one story where Mr. Johan would go into the market, and he was looking for something for his motorbike, and he went in, and the shop owner, who was an old man, he didn't know him, he said, "Bonjour, Mr. Yo." And it's not every Mzungu that would be recognized and offered a discount before he even asked when he goes into a shop in Indorande. That's something quite special. I'm very sorry. Hello. I'm very sorry for two things. I have been extremely busy this year, doing a lot of teaching and taking a PGCE, which is a teaching course in the UK. And instead of visiting Mr. Yo twice a week or so, just practicing for fun, I've been too busy to do that. And I feel guilty, but I know a lot of us probably feel the same way. I'd like to just thank everyone for coming out because it's a remarkable community he's brought together. There's a lot of talent here. And I know he's touched all our lives. I think I'm pretty good. I'm going to stop there. I've got one song that I wrote for him the night that he died after I visited his house. I couldn't concentrate on my schoolwork, and I just sat at the piano. And this is perhaps the easiest song I've ever written. It's not a complicated one. It's not difficult. But I hope he likes it. It's simple. It's kind of classical with a few jazz chords. We'll see. All right, thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Dave. Very gripping. That concludes this part of the whole afternoon. We have set up a drinks counter there, so you're welcome to join us outside for a drink, a chat, something to eat. And if you should feel the urge to burst out in song, by all means, don't be shy. Please do. We all know someone who would appreciate that. Thank you very much for being here today and sharing this with us. Thank you.
It's 15 hours.
Thank you.